Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Poorboys Little Homestead. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping in. Feel free to drop in anytime you feel, my friends. Guys, today I got two old propane bottles. The valves ain't no good on them, and they just been sitting around in the trash pile, and I'm wanting to make something out of it. Well, what I got in mind here, I don't know what you want to call it, but I want to have me like a way that I can cook over open fire outside, or I can take it to the camp. And I know there's all different ways of doing things, but this is what I got on my mind doing. I'm gonna take this one bottle and I'm gonna put some little legs on it so it'll be up off the ground a little bit, and I'm gonna cut a window out of it, and I'm gonna put a grate in there, and the bottom part will be where you build your fire, where you just use little small pieces of wood, and it's gonna have an open front. I ain't gonna put a door on it. And then I'm gonna cut the top out of it, cut the bottom out of this other one, and weld them together. And then up here on the second tank, I'm gonna cut a window. But on this one, I'm gonna have it a door that you open up, and it's gonna have a grate in it, so that's where you can put your meat or what you want to cook and shut your door. Now, as you feeding your fire on the bottom with wood and stuff, to me, the theory is the heat will come on up and cook your meat, and it won't be over the top of a direct fire. According to how far you build your fire, you can let your coals burn down. It just depends on what you're cooking, how you want to cook it. And on the top, I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna have some stove pipe running out about 4 or 5 foot, because the thing about me is I'm allergic to smoke and stuff. Y'all can tell this morning I'm all choked up and I ain't even been around no smoke. But I'm gonna have a stack on it. But I've always wanted me something that I could just build me a little fire in, just out of a little small wood, you know, just limbs and little stuff you can break up with your hands. Or you could put charcoal in the bottom of it, I guess. But that's what I got going on here. So what I'm gonna be doing first is removing the valves. Fill these tanks up with water. Then I'm gonna cut the window out. Cut my tanks, get them prepared, be welding them together. And as you know, if you watch any of my DIY projects, some of my stuff, my plans change as I go along. But starting out, that's what I got in mind. So let's get into this and see how much we can get done. Well, guys, on this first tank here, I've had trouble. I'd already started just to see if I could remove this valve. Well, this valve's been here so long, this ain't wanting to unscrew, so I had to unscrew the top of the valve, and you can see the tank's open. So I'm gonna take this tank around here to the water hose, and I'm gonna fill it up with water, and I'm gonna bring it back around here. All right, guys, I done filled this up with water. But at first, before I start this little process, I want to explain something. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos where they cutting into these tanks and stuff, and they don't really explain to the people. Guys, this is extremely dangerous if you don't do what you need to do first. When you're doing something like this, you're doing it at your own risk. This tank's been filled with propane over and over and over for many years. It still has fumes in it. It's still got fumes inside the rust particles inside the tank and stuff. So it's a must. And when I say it's a must that you make sure your valve's off. Like you see this valve here didn't come off. I had to unscrew the top portion of it. Then I stuck something down in it to make sure 100% that it was open. Then to even be extra cautious, I filled this up with water. If you ever cut into a propane tank or an old fuel tank and it's still under pressure because you assumed that valve was open or something other, you can blow yourself up quickly. I'm being as serious as I can be right now, and I ain't joking around. This ain't something you play around about. You make absolutely 100% sure that that valve is open. It's better to take it off, take it apart like I did, put water in that tank. If you can get water in that tank, then you know it's open. Plus the water pushes some of the excess fumes out. So then all you dealing with is the water, the fumes and stuff that's built up in the rust. I also never start out with a torch or anything. I'm going to use a grinder to grind into this. Yes, a grinder makes sparks. Yes, a grinder can ignite fumes. But that's just the way I do it. So with that being said, I'm already choked up today. But this is going to be making dust and stuff. So I'm going to wear my respirator mask, and I'm going to see if I can cut this window out of this tank. And then I'm going to cut this top portion off. And then that's when I get out my torch or my plasma cutter, and I'm going to cut the hole in top of the tank. And I'll move forward from there. Alright, so we cut into it. And old as that tank is, that tank don't look near about as bad as I figured it was going to look inside. So as you can see, I put a pretty good little hole right there. You'll be able to put some pretty good little chunks of wood in there. But you can smell the propane fumes. I have to build several fires in there. Get all that good hot several fires before I ever cook anything. So now I'm finna get out my plasma cutter. And I'm gonna cut the top out of this one. Alright guys, now I got the plasma cutter set up. I'm gonna cut the top out of this tank right here. And that'll be where the other tank's gonna set on it. So that's what I'm gonna be cutting on. And there we go, guys. Now I'm finna get the other tank, take the valve off, or probably gonna have to end up unscrewing the top portion of the valve on it, just like I did this one. Fill it up with water, and then I'll pour some of the water back out. But I may have to cut this one with the torch. Like I said, I normally don't like starting out with the torch, but I ain't got no more of them little blades for my grinder. would know it, the top portion of this valve don't unscrew like the valve that was on that other tank. So I'll be right back, guys. What I'm gonna do to make sure this valve's open is hook an air hose up on here and make sure I can blow air in and it comes back out. And then on this one I might have to just drill me a hole with my drill. That'd be my secondary proof that this thing ain't got no pressure on it, and then I can put water in it through that hole I drilled. Now we know if I put air in there and air comes back out, the valve's open, but still I like doing 2 steps of caution. I'm gonna drill a hole in it also. Now guys, the reason I'm doing this again, you want to make absolutely 100% that there is no pressure on the tank. So I can spray air in there and it comes back out. So that proves to me that that valve ain't stuck shut and it's got any kind of pressure on this tank. You cannot be too careful when you're doing stuff like this. You will blow yourself up or kill you. If you don't kill yourself, you'll be so mangled you'll wish you was dead. So, for my second dairy back up to make sure no pressure. So I done drilled a hole in it, so we know it ain't got no pressure. Now I'm gonna take it around there to my water hose. Like I said, I'm gonna fill water all the way up, push what fumes is in there out, and then I'll pour that water back out. Now yes, I'm gonna get me a bigger drill bit and drill me a bigger hole to get water in there. Alright guys, you can see I drilled a bigger hole right here and put water in it and then poured all the water back out. There's still some in the bottom, just like the other one. But right now, I went to my scrap pile and I got some exhaust pipe out from under the old truck, and it measures 4 inches. So I'm gonna be cutting a hole in the top here about 3 3/4. But I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my little grinder. I think I got enough wheel left. I can cut these 3 little wells and remove this handle off top of this tank. And then I'm gonna take my plasma cutter and cut that hole out. And I ain't gonna cut this hole at the moment. I think I'm gonna set this tank on here and weld them together. And that way I can be deciding how I want to do my door while I can be thinking about it while I'm doing this other work. So I'm gonna try to cut them. It's got 3 little wells here. Maybe I can cut them without getting into the tank, and when I brush it and paint it all, it won't be noticed. Alright guys, dump this water out of here. Now guys, this little plasma cutter I'm using here is a Lotus or Lotus. I ain't sure how you pronounce it. It's L-O-T-O-S. It's a LTP 5000D. I'll show y'all that in a moment. I've had this little plasma cutter here for going on probably 2 years. It's very handy, and it's 110 or 220. Now I've never plugged it into 220, And I know it'll cut a lot better on 220 than it does 110, but most time I'm just piddling with little stuff like this, and I ain't got no 220 out here in my shed. I'd have to go around there to the power pole. Then I'd have to move everything. But you can see it's a pretty fair little cutter, and I'll show y'all an up close shot at it. But as you can see, I got it and my little Hobart Handler 140 on a little cart here that it was actually a bulk cart, and I took it apart and added to it and made it the way I wanted to put wheels on it, handles and all that good stuff. But the little plasma cutter sits on the bottom. Like I said, it's a Lotus LTOS LTP 5000D. And it's a 110, or it can run off a 220. Of course, you gotta have an air compressor. You need 60 PSI pressure on it, and that's what blows your, if you know anything about a plasma cutter, you gotta have air to blow as it's cutting. Now, I just got mine running on a little bitty air compressor, and sometimes I gotta stop and let it catch back up, but I don't do a lot of work with it, but it's a handy little plasma cutter. What I'm gonna have to do next is cut the hole out in the bottom of this top tank, and then I'm gonna weld it around this one. Then after that, I'm gonna see how tall I want my legs, and then we'll look at the exhaust pipe, what we want to do. Now you see I ain't getting no square and I ain't getting no level. I'm just kind of centering it up to my eye, and I'm going with it. This is just something for outside, at the camp, wherever. Plus I kind of like stuff that ain't all straight. It kind of gives it that rugged look, and I like rugged look. Kind of reminds me of myself. That looks pretty good with that hole that was cut in there. Now we need to cut the bottom of this one out. Now guys, you want to save this piece. We're going to put it right down in the bottom of that bottom one like that. Then we're going to put a grate that holds a fire up off of it, but this will give that one a double protection so it'll last longer and not burn a hole through the bottom over time. And I'll probably give that a couple of tacks with the welder to hold it in place down there. So now at this point, this is what we're up to. Now I think I need to take my buffing wheel and buff this top around here so I can weld this tank to this tank. Alright guys, I got there's two little holes in the bottom of these rings on these tanks. I got me a little bitty piece of metal and I'm going to try to tack it in there. And then I'm going to weld around this ring, because it's just tack weld on here, because I don't want no smoke coming out around that ring as it comes up. Guys, it's a good thing I like rugged look. Now I ain't never claimed to be no good welder, but I don't know if it's the metal this tank's made out of, or or some of the paint that's on this tank. But this just ain't welding real good. It's gonna hold for what it is, but that's some ugly welding. So now I'm gonna tack this on. And then we'll go from there. Now guys, if I was paying my man to do this welding for me and he welded some crap look like that, I wouldn't want to pay him. That's some ugly welding, but I think it's gonna hold. It's gonna have that rugged look for sure. It's sure gonna have a rugged look. But I think it's gonna be alright. Get a little black paint on it after I build a fire and burn it off. Now I'm gonna set it down on the ground and see if I can get an idea how tall I want the legs. I got 4 little pipe here I'm gonna try to put under here. Alright guys, that's what we got so far. 4 legs. Now I'm going to be looking at the pipe here, see what kind of exhaust I want it. And I'm going to have to come back and do some brush up and some more welding on my legs and stuff. So that's some of the awfulest welding I ever seen in my life. But maybe it'll hold since it's just what it is. This ain't nothing to be going in a house for no pretty. So, this old pipe I got here is all crooked shape. I'd like to have it over here high. I don't know how I'm going to get that much pipe right there. Wished it would have had a good straight piece. I guess I might have to do it in 2 pieces. Maybe put the bottom on here. A piece of this bottom pipe. Because I would like that on up there pretty good ways. Alright guys, so I cut a section of that old tailpipe out. Like I said, this is 4-inch round, come out from under a diesel pickup truck, I think. And you can see this section here, it ain't perfectly straight, but I cut a little angle on it. We're gonna see if we can weld that right there for an exhaust. Now again, this ain't straight at all. But I ain't gonna cut it and try to make it straight because I think that just adds character. I'm not building this out of new material, I'm building this out of scrap material that's stowed away and off of other stuff. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna weld this pipe on here. Then I think we just gonna build a fire in it. Cause I'm kind of tired of working on it today, but I'm gonna build a good hot fire in it and we're gonna see how good it burns. Let it burn all the gases out of it. And then also I want to see how good it burns. Who knows, I may decide not to put a door and a grate in there and use it as a cooker. I might just use it as an outside heater. You can build a pretty good fire down there, and that tank ought to get hot. We're gonna see how much heat it puts off. Alright guys, we got our bubble gummed up there pretty good. We better take this thing off over there somewhere and we're going to build us a fire in her. And we're going to let it burn. And then I'll decide what I'm going to do from there. Alright guys, before that fire got started good, or it still ain't started good, I leant that over and I drug it out here away from my porch. Because this wind's whooping around and around and I didn't want to be breathing all that smoke. So I want this to burn all day long. So I'm finna go get some more lighter fluid and see if I can get that on up so it won't be smoking so bad. I figured that dry wood would have caught right on up, but it didn't. See if that right there get her going. Alright guys, we're gonna check the temperature of these. That right there is 558 degrees. That right there, I'm gonna say around 300 because it's going from like 286 to 359. So around 300 degrees on that top tank with just that little fire burning like that after them coals done got good and hot. So that would make a nice, just a little heater just to set around. And like I said, I'm gonna have to do something to my bottom down here, raise it up a little bit. And I think I put some air vents, maybe drill a couple of holes down toward the very bottom, and it may help make the draft go on up, not let it little bit of smoke coming out right here that's coming out. But we're gonna let her burn and then we're gonna get back to the drawing board and work on her a little more. Like I said, I just wanted to burn it right now and get all that crap burnt out of it. Then I can tidy up my welding a little more. And I don't know if I'm gonna paint it, guys, or not. I like the old rustic look, because even when you paint it after you burn several things of wood through it, it's gonna get rusty because it's gonna be sitting outside anyway. Alright guys, it's the next morning and I got a little time to spare, so I'm gonna fiddle with this thing a little bit more. What I did, I cut a piece of that metal back because I had this too big, and when you're trying to get your fire started, some of your wood was wanting to fall out. So I cut this little piece back, raising it up about another 1.5 inches. And now my little opening is going to be about 5.5 inches wide or tall by approximately 9 inches wide. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. I'm going to lay this down over here and I'm going to weld that back in, and then I can grind that weld back off. I might tidy up a little bit of welding around the bottom of that tank and around them legs while I'm welding. And then I got the door marked out here where I'm gonna cut it. It's gonna be just a 3.5 inch door by about 9 inches long. And I'm gonna cut it out. And that door's gonna be, ain't that wide, ain't that tall, but you gotta think, this ain't but that big around, ain't a good 12 inches in there, so you ain't gonna be cooking a whole lot. Most anything you put in there is gonna be in a pan or in a wrapped in tin foil or something. You could put some hamburger patties in there, I guess, or something like that, but this ain't to be cooking for no family. This is cooking for 1 or 2 at the camp, so that door ain't gonna need to be that big. So I'm finna get over here and start welding. Alright guys, now I have to take my little grinder and make that look just a little better, but it's still gonna be rugged looking. You know I like the old rugged look, but this is sure enough got some rugged look, don't it? And then I'm gonna cut this little door right here out. And then we'll go from there on how we're gonna put our grate in there and how I'm gonna hinge this little door. Alright guys, well we got our hole cut at the top, and I done a little grinding right here to make them weld look a little bit better while I welded that piece back in. But I cut this hole right here just a little smaller than this piece that come out of this hole. That way it'll lap over. And we're gonna put it on like that right there with some kind of hinge right here and some kind of little latch. You can open it right up. We can set your food right in there on your grate. We're gonna have to put a little piece in there to set the expanded metal wire on and make us a grate. And that's what we're working on now. Alright guys. Act like it wants to rain, then it don't want to rain. So I move my stuff up under the edge of my awning here. And I got me some little rebars, 2 of them cut. I'm gonna weld right in there so I can set a grate on. I have me a little expanded metal grate cut out here. I'm gonna have to bend it to get it in there and then bend it back out flat on there. And got me a little hinge I cut. We're gonna weld that on there like so. And then after I do that, then we'll figure out how we're gonna make us a latch for this door. So that's what I'm working on, guys. Alright, we're getting closer. Got our little door on. Our grate's in the inside. Now I'm gonna have to eventually get a better piece of expanded metal. That's the only little scrap piece I had, and it's real thin, but it'll cook for a while. Our door closes. But now I'm gonna have to come up with a little latch, and I got a piece of flat metal here. I'm gonna drill a hole and I'm gonna try to make it to where to swing down and hook into another piece right here. And once I get my latch fitting just right, then I'm probably gonna come back and put a piece of chain hinge right here and here, because my door with just that one little hinge there is kind of slack. I don't like that much slack. But until I get my latch all just right so I can hold it in just the right spot, then I'll wheel me another little piece of chain as a hinge. And then we're going to fire this baby up. Painting can come at a way later date, if it ever comes. Now guys, I'm trying to make me a latch right here. I'm going to weld this on there, then I'm going to cut it off the length I need it. Alright guys, there's our finished product. Latch, I got it good and tight. Open your door up. Put your food in there on the grate. Shut your door after you done got your fire going good. So right now I'm finna build a fire in this, cause like I said, I ain't cooking nothing in it till I burn several fires through here and get it good and hot and burn all that out. That's gonna end this video, so y'all hit that subscribe button and watch out, cause y'all gonna see me cooking some deer meat or squirrel or something on this coming up on a video. And it'll probably be painted by that time, maybe. I don't know if I'm gonna paint it, but I think I am. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all give you some ideas what you can do with old propane tanks. But like I said, guys, make sure 100%. Don't just assume that valve's open and ain't no pressure on it. You take 2 cautions. After you know that valve's open, put you some air in it if you can't remove that valve. If you put air in it and the air comes back out, and then you can drill a hole in it and put you some water in it. But do not never assume that the valve's open before you go to cut into a fuel tank of any kind. There's all kind of ideas on the YouTube. People doing different stuff. I looked at different ones. I like watching stuff like this. And then I took what I got and my scrap I got, kind of come up with my own idea of what I wanted to do. That's what I got right here. I appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up. Share my videos on your social media. That'll help me grow my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a blessed day. See y'all next time.